Hey everybody, this is Sean from the Dukes of Dice, and this is the first month that we have been putting out regular video content on our Dukes of Dice YouTube channel. So what I want to do every month, at least that's the plan for now, is to kind of look back at what we've been doing on the channel, on the podcast, just kind of do a recap and maybe look forward to what's going to be happening in the coming month. So January 2017, big year for Dukes of Dice. Once again, brand new YouTube channel. Well, not new, but you know what I'm saying. Also, this was the month that Alex said, see ya. He is off in Southeast Asia right now, sending back pictures, having a blast by all accounts. We certainly miss him over here recording, being part of video stuff, although he hates being part of video stuff. And then on our weekly Dukes of Dice game night. So I'm glad that he's having the time of his life, and but he can't come back quickly enough. So we all miss him over here. All right. So one thing I need help with is naming this. This could be our monthly vlog. A lot of times in Dukes of Dice, we like to use a D word. That sounds weird. Sorry for that. For example, on our Board Game Geek Guild number 2008, every week before the podcast, we put up our Dukes on deck so people can chime in on the things we're discussing and also come up with some episode title suggestions. In our podcast episodes, we do our Dukes Double Take, which looks back at a review from a year ago. So something that makes sense. If you want to put in the comments below what we should title this monthly vlog that kind of looks back at things. All right. Well, it's been a busy month, and we didn't do as much as I was hoping for, but we did quite a bit. So we produced 15 pieces of content and 5 podcast episodes. 4 of them are regular weekly episodes. One of them was our Patreon episode with Mike Fitzgerald, which was an interview that Alex did with Mike before he left. And then we've produced 10 videos. We did 6 first impressions, and I'll go through those in a second. We did 1 unboxing. We did 2 Patreon live shows, and then we also did a Kickstarter preview. So quite a bit of content for us to put out in this month. So I'm pretty excited about that. But let's talk about the podcast and what we did this month. We started off with Alex's last episode 125. It was called Chaotic Goods, because we were talking about the game Role Player for our featured review, and we were also doing our double take on the Uwe Rosenberg game Glass Road. In episode 126, we had Suzanne Sheldon come and help us out for the first episode without Alex. In that, we reviewed Villages of Valeria, and we took a look back at our review of Dungeon Pets. That one was titled It Takes a Village, because we need help when Alex is gone, and so it takes a village to put the Dukes of Dice together. Let's see, episode 127, we had some local guests, so some people from our local game group. We had Matt Walker and David Roth, and episode 127, we reviewed Inish, and we did a look back at our top 6 designers from a year ago, and you could see how that changed. So the episode title was, I'ma Let You Inish, but Fister, because we figured Fister was going to be on there. Very clever name. Mike Risley came up with that. Brilliant name, and I'll probably put up the clip here or something of what that's referencing, because it's hilarious.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
All right, and then the last podcast episode of the month, episode 128, was with our buddy Mike Fitzgerald. We took a look at our favorite multi-use card games, our top 6 multi-use card games, which is a mechanic or design category that it's near and dear to both of our hearts. We both love that style of game. And then we also took a look back at Spirits of the Rice Paddy. So go ahead and check out those episodes if you'd be so kind as to rate us on iTunes and do all that stuff. But we do put out this weekly podcast, and I think there's a lot of good stuff there. We've got some great episodes coming up. This week we're going to have some locals help out with Arkham Horror LCG. We're going to have Rodney Smith on this month. We're going to have the Game Boy Geek on, and I can't remember if might be John from John Gets Games. I have to double check the calendar, but it's going to be a pretty busy month, and I'm really excited for the stuff the podcast is going to have coming out. All right, so we started doing first impression reviews, which aren't full-blown reviews. They're usually done after a couple plays, and so that's why I'm giving you my first impression. And it's kind of a conceit to the fact that right now I probably don't have the time to do a full-blown review, a video review on a bunch of these games, and I don't want to cannibalize things from the podcast. But here's what I did talk about. We did a first impression of Trick of the Rails, which is a really interesting combination of a trick-taking game and kind of a very light 18xx where you've got stock portfolio to manage. This was put out by Terra Nova Games. I got this from Kickstarter, and this was designed by Hisashi Hayashi. Fantastic game. I really enjoyed it and still enjoying it. We did Fuji Flush from Stronghold Games, designed by Friedman Fries. A really interesting card game, light, a little bit chaotic, plays up to 8 players. And in this game, you are basically trying to flush your hand first, but you get beaten as players play higher cards, but that's okay because you can team up with other players so that your 2 and my 2 are now a 4, which can flush someone's 3. Lots of fun with that game. Looked at Villages of Valeria. This was before we did the full-blown review with Suzanne. In fact, I think this was our first impression. And obviously, I enjoyed this game. It's got multi-use cards. It's got some engine building. My first impression of it was really good. And then you can check out the full review in episode 126 to see, kind of what my final thoughts of that were. It's from Daily Magic Games. And then from White Wizard Games, I did a first impression review of Hero Realms. This is kind of the Star Realms clone, but it offers some character packs. Eventually, it's going to offer some different ways to play the game. And my first impression of this was really strong. I have played this a ton since that first impression review. I am loving Hero Realms. Absolutely loving it. And then we also looked at Ice Cool. This is from Brain Games, which has become my go-to dexterity game. This is a cool game where you're flicking these penguins. You want to use a hall monitor, and you're trying to intercept the other penguins. They're these kind of weeble wobble penguins, and you're able to kind of do cool jumps and do cool curves. Lots of fun, really silly game. And then our last first impressions review was King Domino. This was from Blue Orange Games, designed by Bruno Catala. And this was an interesting tile drafting game where you're doing some tile placement to try and create the best little kingdom where you're trying to have adjacent areas of different terrain types, but then also crowns, which are a symbol on some of the tiles to act as a multiplier. I think it's really solid. It's not for me. I'm not going to rush out to pick it up. Matthew was saying I should try this 2-player, but it's good, and I think it's worthwhile checking out. Just wasn't necessarily something I'm rushing out to buy. Okay, so in addition to those first impressions, we also did an unboxing of Masmorra, Dungeons of Arcadia, which was a recent Kickstarter acquisition that had come in, and I've since played it a bunch. We'll probably do a first impressions review and may find its way onto the podcast as a full featured review. And then also just today, or maybe yesterday, depending on when this goes up, but we did our very first Kickstarter preview video. There's a game on Kickstarter right now. It's called Dragon Brew, and it's a little bit of engine building. There's some card drafting, 2 things that I really like. You are brewing beers in the kingdom of Brumancia and having these different fantasy races, and that's kind of the twist here. It's brewing. There's a ton of brewing games, but with a fantasy element on top of it. So lots of cool stuff there. So go ahead and check that out. Okay. Finally, we do some stuff from, or courtesy of some of our Patreon folks. Basically, we have a Patreon account. It's patreon.com/Dukes of Dice. And we've reached certain support levels. And by doing that, we're putting some more video content on. So if you want to go check that out over at patreon.com/Dukes of Dice, we'd really appreciate it. Right now, it supports the podcast and kind of indirectly this. A lot of our video equipment and a lot of the material for the set was from that, but primarily you're there to support the podcast, and if there's another route that we'll go for video, I don't know. But anyway, so we did a live playthrough, Suzanne and I, of Star Wars Destiny, and that was a ton of fun. I'm really enjoying this game as well. I managed to beat Suzanne. She used her Rey and Finn deck. I used Boba Fett, a First Order Stormtrooper, and a Tusken Raider. And really close nail biter. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoying this game. I was hoping to not get into any more collectible games, but I'm a sucker. What can I say? So go check that out. And then also we did a live Q&A, me and Matthew Ward. Matthew is a local buddy here. He's in our game group, and he also helps out with some of the Dukes of Dice stuff, helps with promotion, helps manage the Twitter account and things like that. So we talked about a couple different issues, but we also talked about our upcoming Gamers Garage sale, which we're doing at Empire Board Game Library this coming Saturday, which I'm pretty excited about. I showed off like half the games that I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of like 60 or 70 games. So I'm pretty excited for that because that's just going to turn into more games. So yeah. All right, well, I think that covers everything. So be sure, again, to subscribe to the podcast. We put that every week, pretty much without fail. And keep an eye out for some of our other upcoming first impressions. We are very active on Twitter, so we'd love you to follow us there and participate there. Also, I cannot stress this enough. Our Board Game Geek Guild, Guild number 2008, is hopping, absolutely hopping. We have a fantastic community over there. We try and include as much participation from the Guild as possible on our weekly podcast. And I love all those people over there. And if you're not participating in that, you definitely need to check that out. So be sure to do that. Follow us on Facebook, all that good stuff. Subscribe below. Until next month, we'll catch you next time. This is Sean. Take it easy.